coming straight out of West Side Easton.
Going up the west side and the east side. What?
All right, everybody, what's up? Thanks for downloading the Voice of Bedlam podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Santoro. I guess the first person we got to introduce today, we got to kick it off to King Kojo Johnson himself in the flesh. Colin, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? I'm here in beautiful Eastern Pennsylvania. I've missed you all so much. I couldn't stay away.
There you go. Colin lives in Philly now. How was that drive down here, man? Huh? It's pretty late.
Drive
Sucked.
up here.
Sucked. Never take 611. Look at all the traffic you want on 76, but just go for it. Just take it.
There you go.
Yeah. Or what I like to do is try to take it through Quackertown, like the 309.
I love Quackers, don't get me wrong, but
Quackertown.
I missed every single turn I should have taken.
Yeah, 309.
You live and you learn.
309's a good way.
I almost took it.
Yeah, it's.
But we got Devil John with us. So what's up with you, man?
What's going on, man? I'm getting a little, I guess, back in my headspace because I got some sad news that the great legend Prince passed away, and then Josh Norman is got his franchise tag.
We'll get to Norman later.
So you know what? And then to top it off, on my way home, this woman threw trash on my car, and you know what kind of car she had? A dang Kia. A dang Kia. I was like, yo, you got a POS and you gonna throw trash on my stuff? Get out of here. All right, guys. But you know what? Let's get this show started.
Before we get things rolling, let's tell everybody about Franchise. Franchise is an awesome new game, basically, that's coming out. A bunch of retired NFL players bought an arena team, a whole franchise, all right? And with an app, you can be basically the coach and the GM of this team.
Yeah,
and you guys are going to vote and make decisions on what direction this team actually goes in. So head over to joinfranchise.com. Sign up right on your phone. It's all over the phone. It'll be awesome. It's fantasy in real life, and it puts the game back in the fans' hands. Joinfranchise.com. But even once again, we got to tell you guys, we got a special guest on the phone. Sean, man, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
What's happening?
So how's the baby, dude? What's it like being a dad?
I wasn't sure that a person could be this tired for this long period of time, but
It only gets worse.
It ain't nothing I can't handle. It's pretty cool being a dad, so I'm just kind of enjoying it for what it is right now.
And how's Mary Jane doing?
She's good, man. She's just happy to not be pregnant anymore.
Are we all?
Yep. Well, you tell baby JJ Bedlam, we all said what's up.
What's up?
I will.
All right. But while we got you on the line, and we got your brother here, so we got two Eagles fans. I'm not really cool with the ratio being this messed up.
It's all right because because the winners in the NFC South, being the Panthers, my team, counteracts that loserness. It's okay.
All right, we're gonna get some AFC dudes in here.
Although you know what, just to give you guys a little bit of good note though, you have more playoff wins since '97 than the Cowgirls.
There you go.
Don't forget it.
Uno.
But Sean, while we got you here, let's talk about this big second blockbuster trade that's coming before the draft. Now, last week, the Titans moved back to the 15th spot. The Rams jumped up to number 1. And then, after the Eagles had already moved to 8 in a trade with Miami, now they're up at 2 in a second trade with the Browns. Why don't you give me your breakdown? And now everybody knows they're taking a quarterback, so we're going to jump around all over this for a little bit. I got the details of the trade here, but before we get to that, what do you think about this trade moving you to the number 2 overall pick?
I hate it. I said on the last couple podcasts it was
Never rated.
That being said, though, because the trade's already been put in place and it's already a thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Colin, who I know is in favor of this trade, say what he thinks about it, and then I'm going to argue with him.
The first question you got to ask yourself is, do you believe in Sam Bradford for the next 5 years as being a good enough quarterback who can take us to the promised land, the elusive Super Bowl championship?
That's never happened before.
I've never said that Sam Bradford was the franchise guy. All I said was that Sam Bradford was the best option moving forward. Now, that being said, I said that a couple of weeks ago maybe a month or so ago when he was really the only other option except trying to find a guy through free agency, i.e. they got Chase Daniel. I mean, you have Ryan Fitzpatrick and guys like that out there. And I said, even after that if the Eagles wanted to draft somebody at 8 that was potentially there, I wouldn't have a problem with them doing that. Moving up to number 2 and trading away these future picks for a guy that played 1AA football, not a fan of it.
There's other risks that you could have taken, though, guys, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. If you guys are fans of teams who drafted a quarterback who took you to the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, the Giants traded up with the Chargers, basically number 1. I mean, the Chargers had already drafted Manning, but the Giants moved up from the 5 spot, nabbed him, and he did take us to 2 Super Bowls. Like, we were drastic underdogs. But the question is, now basically, let's look at this from a couple different perspectives, right? You guys have a lot of money invested in the quarterback. You basically signed 2 quarterbacks this offseason, Bradford and Daniels is making some like high backup money. Now, I don't know why Doug Peterson is in love with Daniels. It's kind of weird.
I think they have a romantic relationship.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm gonna put it on the board now.
But I don't know what's going on over there. And then on top of that, you got to think about it. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they are in an article I did about this on sportsrants.com calling the Eagles soar to number 2. I hate it making like that good of like an intro for the Eagles. I hate it writing about the Eagles, to be honest.
That just means that you're becoming a better writer.
Good for you, Andrew.
Yeah, right? Like, come on. You
guys can check that out on sportsrants.com and at voiceofbedlam.com. But anyway, there would be a lot of dead money if you were to part ways with Chase Daniels. Way too much if you part ways with Bradford. So then you're going to have to carry 3 quarterbacks on the roster, which means you're sacrificing a special teams guy. That's a pretty crowded quarterback room and perhaps a pretty expensive quarterback room.
I don't know.
So that's one way I'd have to look at it. But, I mean, and also on top of that, I said this on the last podcast. No one was high on these quarterbacks until people wanted to trade to number 1 to get them. They weren't even sure if 2 were going to go in the first round originally. You know what I mean? And now they're 1 and 2. It's pretty much locked and set. On top of that, I think the Eagles moved all these picks and everything like that. And when you think about it, they don't even really get to pick the quarterback they want. The Rams are really going to decide who the Eagles pick. The Eagles trade all the way up to number 2 and still don't even get to technically make the pick. Or not technically, but, fully. John, what's your shakedown of it?
Honestly, given the fact that the transition to the pro game is a significant change, and some of these players aren't as I guess you can say transferable as quickly as some people like Jameis Winston, Cam Newton. Those guys took the reins and just came right in and just went to work. And given that they went to work right away, now there's this expectation that every quarterback's going to be able to do that. So now, if they don't come out and show, as you can see, you're already talking about you're going to be holding 3 quarterbacks that you've invested in. That's crazy money. You threw it away. You threw away money.
At least on one of them.
At least, yeah. And then not only that, like when you had your chance to get rid of the one problem, you gave him more money.
You're talking about Bradford there.
All right.
Only for 2 years though, and it's an easy deal to
get rid of him next year
after this season.
All right, this is my last low blow joke. All right, he's one broken finger away from being the next $1 million man. Okay, all right, he's literally one broken finger away.
Well, I mean, I do think it would be good if they do want to draft a quarterback that they retained Bradford to bring him in. He does have a contract where they could part ways with him pretty cheaply next year, school up whichever prospect they get. But it's the fact that they signed Chase Daniels. That's where they shot themselves in the foot. If they want to sign Bradford and draft a quarterback, okay. But then giving all that money to Daniels doesn't really make sense. Here are the terms of the deal with Cleveland. The Eagles received the 2nd overall pick in round 1, plus a 4th round draft pick in 2017 from the Browns. Philadelphia sends to Cleveland the 8th pick overall in the 1st round, plus a 3rd round, 77th overall, a 4th round, 100th overall in this year's draft. They're sending a 1st round pick in 2017. The Eagles, as of now, have no 1st first-round pick in 2017 and a second-round draft pick in 2018. But somehow the Eagles still have 7 draft picks through this particular draft. So they're kind of selling themselves short, I think so still too. I mean, even if you get this quarterback, let's just think of which one was the older car?
Who is he throwing to?
Yeah, but even before that, which one's the older car?
David Carr.
Okay, David Carr.
David Carr.
I mean, he was the number 1 overall pick, and he was nice. And I saw him play a lot more being a Giants fan in preseason and going to practices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he never made it anywhere because he didn't have an offensive line. With the Eagles having no picks in the following years, I think that's going to hurt them. You can't expect to get, what are they expecting to get? Like, what, 4 great players out of 7 picks? That's some high expectations.
That's a high expectation every year. It's really a crapshoot, the NFL draft. Everyone knows it. You're lucky. It's a good draft if you draft 3 players who are good enough to start on your team.
Absolutely. So that's what I'm saying. They only have 7 this year. So the chances, like, you really, of course, now they absolutely have to hit with the number 1.
That's subjective only because if you've done your homework and you've watched these games and you watch these players in and out, game after game, you know their potential. That's the only way you will know, because the only way that you can really judge someone's performance, because you can't, unfortunately, there's no stat, they're not using the next gen stats that they are in the NFL in college football right now. If they were doing that, you would have more, precise, stats to work with, so you understand a player's level of athleticism, so that the draft class becomes more productive in a sense when that transition to the pro game comes into play.
But can we trust the NFL? Sean, Mike Mayock said that Carson Wentz has the athleticism of a Cam Newton and an Andrew Luck. Does that, do you believe him, or do you think that's just a whole lot of hogwash?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm curious what Sean thinks about it.
Does anybody remember how high he was on Johnny Manziel? And he was just pleading with teams, I can't believe Manziel's fallen this far. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to discredit Mayock that much, but yeah, he likes to build things up a little bit.
Sean, how do you feel about that as the Eagles fan who's against the trade and against the risk taken? Does that mean anything to you, what these experts are saying about Wentz?
No, it doesn't really, because, you can compare any guy to any other guy. It doesn't mean he's going to be that guy. There's only one Cam Newton. There's only one Andrew Luck.
That's
and,
true.
Going off of what John was saying a little earlier, the transfer to the NFL is a big one. And you're talking about a guy who made, put up big numbers in college, but at a 1AA school. So who was he going at? What was the competition that he was really going up against?
Yeah, that's basically Lafayette. That's Lafayette, Lehigh.
Yeah,
do you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And going off of what Andrew was saying, neither Goff nor Carson Wentz were even really talked about going into this, earlier in this draft season. And then all of a sudden, no more than a couple months ago, there was the possibility that before the Eagles even made that trade with Miami and moved from 13 to 8, that Carson Wentz could be there at 13, and now he's projected to go
number 1,
2nd overall.
Yeah.
Well, that's just that's the combine, that's the senior game, the Senior Bowl. Those are the events that take people to the next level,
right?
But that's scary to me because, a guy who has the 1st overall or 2nd overall pedigree is usually seen as that 1st overall pedigree from the get-go. You know what I mean? He doesn't move. A guy like that shouldn't start off low and then move his way up, higher and higher in the draft. And it's only doing this is only happening, first of all, because LA made that trade all the way up to number 1 because they're so desperate for quarterback
and money and jersey
they need to sell
sales.
jerseys. They need to make a splash out there in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I think they're going golf.
That bothers me. I said before, if the Eagles wanted to stay at 8 and Goff or Wentz dropped to them, then they wanted to draft a quarterback there, I would have been okay with. But now you're trading these future picks to go up and get a guy that is basically a question mark. You don't know if Carson Wentz can play in the NFL. And I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong if he ends up being the franchise quarterback. But if he's not the franchise quarterback, Howie Roseman basically just signed his own pink slip in 2 years.
But if you don't get the franchise quarterback this year when you have a single-digit pick, the Eagles are trying to compete. This was the only shot, the best shot that they have in the next.
Are they trying to compete? Because it's pretty clear to me that they're rebuilding now.
I think they're doing both at the same time. They shed bad contracts. They locked up their young stars, or stars in the making, you hope. Hopefully Fletcher Cox is the next to get locked up. Now, in 2 years, when Sam Bradford's contract is likely off the books, you're only paying your starting, hopefully, franchise quarterback a few $100,000, and then Chase Daniel will be on the team for 7, even if he has to start for a couple years. That means you can afford your Fletcher Coxes, you can afford your McLeods at the safety position, your Malcolm Jenkins, all those other star players. This defense is hopefully supposed to be something for the Eagles. Now you can afford all these players because hopefully your quarterback, who is a solid NFL starter, and this is obviously the risk you take, he's not making anything for the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly, because they can hit him with that like rookie franchise tag being the top town. First round pick. But we're gonna talk about a little bit the snowball effect this could have, but let me take a second right here and tell you guys about Reputation Resolve. It's an all-in-one software that will help you build and manage your business's reputation online. It will keep you connected to your customers and get you 5-star ratings and feedback. To better serve your customers and start growing your business's reputation online today, go to solutions.reputationresolve.com. Solutions.reputationresolve.com. Now, the snowball effect that these two trades seem to be having, it's making players like Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa really dip down into the draft. I mean, I'm seeing Ezekiel Elliott. Some of the mocks had him going 4 to Dallas, and now they got him going like 13 and 14. Do you know what I'm saying? And that does make sense because everybody else is going to come at a cheaper rate now because, I mean, originally we were looking at Tunsil at number 1 and maybe Jalen Ramsey at number 2. Now we're not even sure if both those guys will go top 5. Do you know what I mean? I mean, those two might go top 5, but Bosa's not. Zeke's not. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, now, I think that's a better thing for a team not looking for a quarterback. I think someone will fall to you because people are reaching for quarterbacks, and then people will start to reach for linemen, and a guy like Stanley might go a little bit earlier than he should have. I mean, you're just judging everything on prospects, so it's all crapshoot anyway. But what do you think about the snowball effect, John? I mean, your team, it really affects a team in in the Giants range a lot more, your 11s, 12s, top 15, we'll say. But even at Carolina, but you guys are all the way back to what, 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It just a snowball effect starts. Maybe a guy like Eli Apple, who's always been predicted to go in the mid rounds, falls even further. Do you know what I mean? Just like Big Ben did when he got drafted with Eli and Phillip Rivers. Do you know what I mean? Big Ben, he fell into like the mid-20s. Do you know what I mean? You had Eli go number 1 overall, and then technically the Giants, I guess, kind of picked him at 5 and then traded him to San Diego. So you had 2 top 5 guys, and Big Ben fell down, and he's probably had the better career if he wouldn't have had so many injuries. Do you know what I mean? Eli might have a more flashy career because they were big plays. Phillip Rivers, small market, not getting in the playoffs, but he's still a great quarterback. But I think as a whole, he was probably the best one, Roethlisberger. Or it'd be him and Eli.
Can't argue with that. They both, all those guys won on the strength of defense especially, but Roethlisberger and Eli both have put up some good numbers.
It's great. It's really, I could sit there and honestly, and I don't want to say too many good things about Eli because I don't want people to think that because I'm a Giants fan, but I would love to just debate Roethlisberger and Eli because in different ways, they're both great and they're both not Joe Montana. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. But you guys got anything else on this, or should we get over to that Panthers? What do you got, Sean? What do you got? I
got a couple questions for Colin real quick because here's my thing, and this is what I've been hearing, is that if the Eagles take Carson Wentz at number 2, that he's going to spend his rookie year most likely under Sam Bradford's wing, so to speak. He's going to be sitting on the bench. Now, do you want a guy that you draft number 2 overall to be spending his rookie year on the bench? If I'm moving all the way up and I'm trading these picks, I'm moving all the way up to number 2 to get my franchise quarterback. Andrew Luck did it. RG3 did it. Jameis Winston did it. Marcus Mariota did it. They were all drafted number 1 and number 2, respectively, and they all started in their rookie year.
I wouldn't do it
So, Colin,
because the Eagles have more talent at that position right now in the form of 22 million, 28-year-old Sam Bradford. After next year, I think it might be time to throw him in. It all depends on how Sam Bradford plays, if he's traded or if he gets hurt, how Chase Daniel plays, or God forbid, if Wentz has to step in this year in the last 4 games due to injuries and he stinks up the joint. I don't want him starting next year per se. Maybe we can give Chase Daniel another year because remember like how it used to be. Remember Aaron Rodgers training under
before
Brett
like
Favre
Matty
for
Ice and all them. They
years.
really started coming in and Stafford
Yeah.
starting. But I always say that you always used to even Manning. Kurt Warner. Nobody remembers Kurt Warner being a Giant, but he was on the team. He brought in Manning until Manning stepped in like week 9 or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
I was listening to
that's really that's what I think is a good idea. But I think you should only have 2 quarterbacks unless they're going to say that he can't learn the playbook or something, and then I'd be flipping as a fan. If they say we need, because the same thing happened to the Giants when they had what's his name, Ponder, the dude that was on the Colts.
Oh, Christian.
They were saying Ryan Nassib, who the Giants drafted in the 5th round that particular year, couldn't learn the playbook, and that's why they had to keep Ponder because Nassib wasn't ready to be the backup. Do you know what I mean? But he was like a 5th rounder or a 4th rounder, I believe. They traded up for him. But if your dude with the number 2 overall pick has trouble picking up the playbook or something, I don't know, man. I think they got to get rid of Daniels, though. Either way,
I think he's probably the longest tenured out of him and Bradford. They signed him to 3 years. They signed their starter to 2 /1.
Oh, man.
It's a mystery there.
All right,
Definitely a mystery.
John, let's kick it over down south. What's going on with these Panthers, man? What's going on with Josh Norman?
Well, Josh Norman is now an unrestricted free agent.
Thanks to Gettleman rescinding the tag, huh?
Yeah. Rescinded the franchise tag, and now he's going to test the market. And quite honestly, I'm not surprised. The fact that we didn't lock up a deal right away, kind of showed that he was going to shop around. So the fact that they wasted the franchise tag in the end anyway. I'm a little upset. So this is now the second time that I get to, throw up the middle finger to Mr. Gettleman for, dropping the ball a little bit. But, Carolina, honestly, for what he's asking, I don't think he's worth it.
Yeah, and if he would have stayed and played under this tag for this particular year, he would have been like the 3rd highest paid corner in the league.
Yeah, 3.9 is a good paycheck.
3.9. The only people that would have been above that would have been Revis and Sherman. Now, I think we got their numbers here. Now, Revis is this year
17.
At 17. We got Sherman at 14.7. Then we got Tremaine Johnson with the Rams at 13.9. So that's right where he was franchised too.
Correct.
So that's why. So they would have been. Yeah. So he would have been in the 3.
Yeah, he would have.
Tied for 3rd.
He's in that Joe Hayden range.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon Carr's right there. Also, Peterson's even lower than that, but he wants to be paid north of 16, that would make him the 2nd highest paid.
It's funny that you said
corner.
Peterson. Do you know that Peterson hit up Twitter, but then he deleted the comment? All right, and he said he said to Josh Norman, "Know your worth."
Yeah, really, dude. I don't know if that one really good year makes you the 2nd highest paid corner in the game.
And that's exactly what it was. He had one great year. He had a total of actually I would say 3 good years out of his 6 in Carolina. There was 3 good years. There was 7 games where he played 7 games in 2013. Okay, 3 total tackles and then 4 combined tackles. Get out of here. What are you doing out there? And then 1 assist? Yeah, what are you doing, bro? Get out of here. No interceptions. Get out of here.
He's not even the best player on that defense. That's Keekly's squad.
So
he did have, but this year, let's look at this year. He had 4 interceptions. That's really where he was making his money.
Well, yeah.
He started all 16 games and he started all the playoffs. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so that's 110 yards. All right,
Yeah.
right. Mm-hmm. His total in his career 172. That means that he had a blowout year when he needed to. But you know what happens also? Where were you in the beginning, man?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, it was his contract year, but he did have 2 touchdowns and 3 forced fumbles also. But I completely agree with you, though. He's asking for way too much money.
He turned up these last 2 years
and been fine.
He basically almost doubled his production that he did the year before, and then Is it the trend that he's going to continue? No, I think he's actually apexed.
Yeah, you think he's at his ceiling?
I think he's at where he's going to be.
I think he should have took that tag, been happy with it,
because we're going to the Super Bowl, and you know what? Honestly, if you don't come back to Carolina, which there's still a chance, so I'm not going to be completely mad at him for trying to go chase the paper. Because
it was a similar situation to Kirk Cousins. He ended up signing with the Redskins.
So test the market, have fun, but you'll definitely see that the grass is definitely a lot greener in Carolina.
I mean, yeah, he really does have a shot to compete. What do you guys think about this Norman situation?
I don't blame the guy for wanting to get his money. You can't possibly. He's not worth what he thinks he's worth, but he's going to be able to find more guaranteed money, maybe with another squad that's going to be able to make the playoffs. And for example, there's some of these teams. Where do you guys think he's going to be heading?
All right. Well, see, that's the hard part, throwing in that playoffs portion, all right? Now, because I think Jacksonville, who's not exactly competing, would be in play for him. I mean, they have $50 million still. So if he wants to chase paper, that's where he needs to go down. I mean, they did sign Prince Amukamara from the Giants, but I mean, it's only a 1-year contract. Prince isn't really a big deal. They could definitely have another corner. They have plenty of money. They were shopping for corners. They kind of got left with Prince. I mean, they probably would have snatched him up, Norman, in a minute if he hadn't been tagged.
Yeah.
But now the best team, I think, with a chance of getting somewhere this year would be the Raiders. Now, the Raiders were being tied to him a lot before he had the tag on him, all right? But the Raiders only have $10 million now. So he was turning down 13. I don't think he's going to go to a possible up-and-comer for less. They wouldn't even be able to pay him 13. They could restructure some deals, and so could the Cowboys. The Cowboys could move some money
would be
around.
more likely because they need a lot of help on that defense.
They do. And I mean, I don't have their specific contract numbers in front of me.
But there's Tennessee. Tennessee's been throwing out a lot of money towards that offense, and they also need to throw out some money towards that defense.
But do they have the money to throw out to both of them?
If I'm not mistaken, they had, when I checked the last website on the situation, because I try to keep my finger to the pulse on that one, because I was like, all right, who's got the money and how real is this gonna be, because you need to come back home and come get this chip.
While you're looking for that, though, yeah. San Francisco is another team. They have even more money than the Jags. They got 52. But basically, San Francisco, they haven't really. The reason why they have so much money is because they haven't made any moves. So are they going to jump out of nowhere and grab Norman now?
Ask Chip Kelly about spending big on a big free agent cornerback. Yeah. Although Norman has a better resume than Byron Maxwell, and I think he's a more sure thing. He wasn't playing second fiddle to anybody else in that secondary.
I mean, Miami is the last team I really looked into. Now, they got $17 million available, all right? So they could, with that much money, make him the second highest player, highest paid corner in the game. But if he wants to go to a contender, I mean, Miami's competing with New England, the Jets. I don't think the Jets were a one and done. They didn't even make the playoffs, but I think the Jets are only going to progress once they get the quarterback thing straightened out. And then still Buffalo. I mean, in my opinion, Miami's the worst team in that division.
You're not wrong.
And yeah, so it's like it doesn't seem like there's too many teams with money that are also legitimate contenders.
I like the idea of those Jaguars or the Titans once John gets the Titans information.
Yeah, I got the cap space, and it's from overthecap.com. Yep. 29.4K they have
plenty
available
room
in the cap space. 29.4
K? You said K.
K.
You mean
I
M?
mean Mill. Sorry, Mill. Sorry.
Nobody's working in.
I had my thumb. I had my thumb. I had my thumb on there.
Yeah, so how much money do they have now?
29 million.
I got like
Okay,
20
$29
bucks,
million. So the Titans could afford him. The Titans also, how far back did they trade? The Titans traded back to
15.
number 15.
Yeah,
so
they
if
did.
they want it, they could grab Eli Apple at that spot.
Yes, they could.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, he might fit at the. He might.
Who knows?
Maybe the Titans.
Who knows?
But do you think? Do you think they need to throw some money at the defense? You don't think they're going to
Definitely.
keep? I mean, yeah, they have been working that offense a lot. They did get DeMarco Murray down there, but that line, but they got plenty of money. Franchise,
Yeah. So, but
Free
you know,
agency's basically
but right
over.
now, right now there's a lot of landing spots, I guess, that he could go. But you know, let's see. You know, we'll find out definitely within the next week or two. You know, who's gonna be. You know.
He's not
bringing
gonna
him
be a
in,
free
bringing
agent
him in
for long.
into the. Yeah, he's not going to be a free agent.
I don't
for
think he
long,
makes
no,
it to
not
the
at all.
draft.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah,
well,
I think he signs his contract before the draft, just
What-
in dramatic fashion.
now I made the comparison to Kirk Cousins. You know what I mean? How they ended negotiations and everything like that. But the Panthers, didn't they cut somebody and re-sign him the next day this past offseason?
Yes, he did.
Who was that? Do you remember?
Charles.
Charles
Johnson.
Yeah, Charles Johnson. So, I mean, they are not strangers to it, but I think, you know, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say Norman's kind of arrogant, maybe.
I don't think I have any interest in him.
Yeah, okay. All right. What do you think, Sean? You want to wrap something up on this for us real quick? You want to hang out with us through the 4-minute hut, or you want to get going?
I can hang out through the 4-minute hunt. On Josh Norman, though, I mean, it really just sounds like, does he want to go after the money, or does he actually want to play to win? Because if he wants to play to win, he might as well just stay in Carolina.
Yep. I think he's a money
But
chaser.
I mean, if he wants to go after the money, who was it? San Fran or Jacksonville, somebody like that.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
necessarily
San Francisco,
contender,
Jag,
But if
yeah.
he wants to go after the
Definitely.
money,
They have the money.
he should just go there.
Yeah, I hear you there. All right.
We'll see.
Well, before we get moving, let's tell you guys to go check out DirecTV at 855-668-9601. That's 855-668-9061.
Yep. So give them a call, man, because you need that Sunday ticket. You
Sunday
know?
to get all the out of
Not only that,
market
if-
games
Yeah.
is great, man. I love the Sunday ticket, and you get Red Zone, and you get that fantasy channel too.
With I just love the red zone with Andrew Siciliano because it's
Yeah, that's what I rock with, too.
There's no comparison. I'm sorry to the other person. I don't even know your name, but because I don't give you a chance. I'm sorry.
But yeah, hit up DirecTV 855-668-9061.
All right, so I guess we gotta go right into the 4-minute hut.
The what?
4-minute hut.
All right. Now we're gonna be closing out our draft rooms. We were doing them division by division. The last division we're doing is the NFC West.
West. Baby.
All right. So we're gonna have John roll things off with the Cardinals. I'm gonna take Seattle. Colin, who do you have?
San Francisco.
San Francisco, and then we're going to make an open discussion about the Rams. I'm sure the Eagles will be worked in there because they have the number 1 overall pick. So, all right, but John, kick it off with the Cards. What are they doing now?
Well, they're going to need a cornerback, a safety, and an offensive line work. So, honestly, you know, they need somebody out there to complement, you know, out there with Patrick Peterson because we all know Patrick Peterson is a beast. But, you know, you need somebody else.
He's starting to get a
there.
little older now, too.
Yeah, and not only that, you need somebody. And they also lost Rashad Johnson to free agency. So, you know, they need safety help now. Also, you know, Tyrann Mathieu and Tony Jefferson are slated to step up now. So, you know, you really need you need to address that. So now, you know, transitioning out of that Josh Norman talk, you know, maybe they'll go after him as well since they need that cornerback need. But I don't think Peterson's going to have that. Honestly, because Norman comes with a certain bravado, and I don't think.
I agree. It doesn't seem like a good locker room environment.
If you thought that Cam Newton and Josh Norman's fight in camp was bad, wait until you see what that fight brings.
But who do you think the Cards will take, though?
You know, the Cards, well, there's a lot of talks about a few people in mind in specific. There's about 5. The first one that got the most, like, I guess you could say overall selection of all the
made the most
all the major media outlets. It's like all averaged out because we're so far into the draft that we get to look at who's picking who, and everyone seems to, unanimously thinking that they're going to go with the center out of Alabama, Ryan Kelly.
Oh yeah, I talked about him the other day. Ryan Kelly, he seems like the definitely best center in the draft.
Yeah. So, but a close second is Noah Spence, the outside linebacker out of Eastern Kentucky. So, there's but that's not addressing anything that was in the needs, because the offensive line, which other than obviously Ryan Kelly, but I don't think he's going to fall to them.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They're at 29.
If Kelly was to fall, it would be because he's a center and they're not valued as high.
Yeah.
But he is the best center in the league. So I wouldn't have, if I can honestly get a great center who can pass block, set the depth of the pocket, I'll take him in the first round.
The question is, though, does he fall to number 29?
I don't know. I mean, I would think he would go a little bit higher than that. I would just see him falling because of the position he plays. People don't like taking guards and centers, especially guards.
That's my only take on that. So as much as they're going to need to address their secondary, but they might be able to do that in the second round as well. So addressing that offensive line is important because they're going to need that because the Panthers exploited them in that NFC Championship game, and I'm not just saying that as a fan. I'm just saying that as a football fan in general. Like, they were exploited in that NFC Championship game.
They got to be able to keep up with the Joneses in that division. If you don't have a good defense in the NFC West, you can't hang with the Seattle Seahawks. You're not going to be able to.
Yeah, exactly. You got to beat the teams in your division.
And Carson Palmer's not getting any younger.
Oh,
true.
Geez.
They got to keep winning.
Well,
Paxton Lynch?
Let's just put it this way.
More quarterbacks?
Yeah, he was the last significant USC quarterback. Oh.
As a fan of a team who once had Mark Sanchez, yes, he was.
Yes, he was like, yes. Hold on, butt fumble. Oh yeah, butt fumble's not that good.
All right, but let's just like we got teams trying to rebuild through the draft. You guys can rebuild your credit with Cure a Debt. You can hit up Cure a Debt at 844-255-6458. If you need to rebuild your credit, to go get that mortgage, to go get that new 2016, Dodge Charger or something like that, you need to hit up Cure a Debt first. Get all your money in order at 844-255-6458. I'm going to keep things moving right along and jump into the division crown right here in the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Seattle Seahawks, they're picking 26th, so they're kind of in the same range as Arizona and everything like that. I could see them maybe going with Chris Jones, defensive tackle out of Mississippi State. 6'6", 310. This kid is taking the world by storm, mostly being heard of before his senior year, and now he's pretty much a lock to be a top 50 pick, and he could also most likely be a first rounder. Now, he started every game last year, had 44 tackles, 7.5 for a loss, 2.5 sacks. Now, even though those sacks are kind of low, I do think he is going to grow into possibly being a pass rusher from that middle spot. Now, not that he's going to lead the team in sacks, but I could really see him being a 3-down defensive end. He did go to the smaller school, but I mean, Seattle has figured out their formula for winning, and that's defense. So I think they're going to keep going in that direction. Now, if they don't want to go with Chris Jones and they want to go with kind of a little bit of a bigger name, bigger school, SEC kid, still sticking on the D line, they can go with Robert Nkemdiche or something like that.
I think you nailed it.
Yes. Oh, man, dude.
Now, he's straight out of Mississippi, 6'4", 294, so he's a little bit smaller than Jones, all right? Now, he's a little bit more ready than Jones. Not that I'm an expert on D linemen. I think Jones is going to turn out having the better career, but I think Nkemdiche, I think people are going to go after him a little bit more. I don't see him being a guy that gets into the backfield, and his numbers were really down low as a senior, and I mean, I see him more as a 2-down player, but other people seem to be higher on him. I think they'll go with one of those two guys. Colin, you want to walk over and check out San Francisco?
The Bay Area.
Chip Kelly. He needs to build a team. He's got really nothing to work with. We got a question mark at quarterback.
He also tried to build another team, too.
He tried to build another team, but this time he's going to have a little bit of help. He's going to have to play second fiddle to their GM, and I think their GM's been there for a while. He's been through the Harbaughs, and he saw how
chased out Harbaugh.
A mistake, and Chip Kelly chased out Howie Roseman. He found his way back, so it's funny that they're already butting heads, but I think Chip Kelly's going to have to sit back, let the GM make GM decisions, and he was the GM, and I'm sorry, I don't have his name right now, but he was the GM while John Harbaugh was there, made runs at the Super Bowl, and how did they do it? With their defense. I personally see the 49ers going defense here. It's nice that you know for a fact they don't even have to worry about quarterback because the two best quarterbacks are going to be off the board when we get to 7.
Yeah, Paxton Lynch better not go at 7.
That'd be a huge mistake. He is the guy that is going to be that late first round. Denver Broncos, look at them back there. So really, it's just a matter of, out of the next top 5 players, which one is going to be the last to hit them? So you got 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So you got Joey Bosa, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got Miles Jack, you got Ezekiel Elliott, which I don't think the 49ers will be looking for. Carlos Hyde's a pretty nice back there.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm thinking that they're going to be looking at DeForest Buckner. He's a difference maker there.
He's one of those guys. I don't think he would have been available at the 7 pick if it was not for these trades. He's the perfect guy. They're the perfect spot. Somebody who's going to fall. That would be a great value pick, a steal at the number 7, and it just might happen because of those trades in the top 2 picks.
And if he goes one spot before, then the remaining best defensive player on the board is where I think they're going to go. They might look at offensive line.
We talking about Miles Jack there, maybe then?
If Miles Jack goes or doesn't go to, the Jaguars or something like that, maybe they go after Buckner. Maybe if Bosa falls down. I think that there's going to be one of those 3 players that'll be available. Probably not Jalen Ramsey. I think he's probably going to be a top 5 guy.
I think, honestly, I think Jalen's going to Jags.
Jags?
Yeah, I think Jalen's going to be a Jags.
I could see that. All right, how's everybody doing out there today? Thanks for tuning into this special edition Voice of Bedlam podcast. If you want to take that next jump with your business or company, you need to come over and advertise on the Voice of Bedlam podcast. Get your ad heard by thousands on a reoccurring basis. Just click buy now and send us your info. Thanks a lot, guys.